Yeah.
My first business that I had opened, my first personal training studio, we were a 2-room studio, and in the entire franchise system, Fitness Together, there hadn't been a 2-room studio, or there was never an average of 350 sessions per room in the studio ever completed. So for our studio, we needed to hit 700 in order to get there. And we were on like the 20th day of the month, and we were pacing this. We were cranking. Literally coming down to the last day, which I'm pretty sure was like a Wednesday. And the only way to get there was if I opened my schedule from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So the week before, I'm like, I'm going for it because I want that. Literally, I got up and I went 20 straight sessions. 6 a.m.
Brutal.
to 9 p.m., 45-minute sessions, back to back,
What a weird time.
with no efficiency. You get more people in.
5 minutes?
With no lunch break, no breaks, no nothing.
Yeah.
I vividly remember at like 7:30, like I want to tap out. Like I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I don't remember the experience of the session, but I have to imagine I was
Probably not great.
like just not very talkative, like all the things there's no way. It was 15 hours of training.
Yeah.
But we hit it. We did 702 sessions that month. I'll never forget. I got a call from the CEO at the time, and I was like, I hit the goal.
He's like, do it again next month.
You know, so I was so tired. But it's not repeatable, you know, and that's an extreme example. But what I did in one day is what some trainers do in a week. Welcome back to Beyond the Pump, where we talk about the business of fitness and nutrition. And today we have a special one. A, because you're hanging out with us, so it's always special. And B, because we're actually going to break down how to stop trading time for money, which in the personal training world specifically is such a big thing to overcome.
Yeah.
And when I say that, if you're in a club, if you're working for somebody, which please don't get me wrong, it is not a bad thing. And I think working in a big box gym is probably one of the best places to start your business, right? It's a great way to meet people, have experience. Like it's a good way to go. But there are limiting factors that exist here. And at the end of the day, you're at the mercy of the club, and you are only going to want to work so many hours when you're splitting that revenue with somebody else. So what do we do? How do we change this a little bit and be able to make more money ultimately? Because you don't want to work 80, 90 hours a week. You didn't necessarily create this business or this job to be married to it and tied to it and have no freedom. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So
Yeah, I would say, like, you know, before we even get into that, we've previously talked in an episode before. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It makes a big difference for us. But also, like, go in there and we talk about who the health coaching industry is for, who is most likely to benefit. And if you're one of those people that doesn't have this innate set of skills, working for someone might actually be something that's more advantageous for you, because you don't have to go out into the world and try to find a couple people that are willing to give you money. And, you know, that's a really big kind of Russian roulette.
Give me money.
Style. Yeah, it's
Give
like,
me
hey,
money.
hey, I'm a coach, and you're in the grocery store, and they're like, fuck off. You're like, oh, okay. And that just ruins whatever small, you know, amount of self-esteem that you have. And so I will say, like, I really appreciate, you know, if people are extroverted, if they have no problem socializing, like, those people will inherently have a stronger likelihood of thriving outside of an established corporate setting. But I think everyone really probably should cut their teeth and use the learning curve of having a lot more opportunities in a place like this when they're getting started, especially if they're younger. So that's my caveat. But go find that other episode, what health coaches probably should be pre-equipped with, and, you know, make sure you consume that, and this will make a lot more sense.
Yeah. So the biggest issue, but also advantage, but I would say, when you're doing in-person training is you pretty much start out selling sessions, so selling hours of time. It's blocks of time. You only have so many hours per week that you want to be able to train somebody. So if you're working a full-time job that's willing to train 40 hours a week, the average person is going to come 2-ish times per week. That theoretically puts a cap on you of 20 clients that you can train. Some people might come 3 or 4 times, which is going to lower your cap, all those things. But forgetting that, the number of clients that you have actually no longer becomes relevant to how much money you can make. Because for every hour you're training, that's when you make your money. So just for simple math purposes,
Yeah.
if you're making $50 per hour of training and you can train, say, 8 hours a day, well, hey, your max that you make per day is $400. And if you do that 5 days a week, then that's 2,000. Let's say you do it 6 days a week, that's 2,400. Now, don't get this wrong or mixed up here. $2,400 per week isn't bad money. That's $10,000 a month. It's $120,000 a year, pre-tax and all that stuff. But
Sure.
that's not bad, but it is literally the capacity in the ceiling. You're not doing more than that unless you put in more time.
One to like also add to that, you figure like this is a very physically arduous job if we're relating this to fitness specifically. Like you're having to load plates, you're having to be of service, you're trying to, and let's just say it's a brick and mortar personal trainer, because we just, you gave a presentation earlier today to a group of those individuals, and like when you think about the ceiling, it tends to actually be a full-time client load for people to sustainably not want to throw themselves in front of a train as 25 to 35 client hours, or just say 30, which is 6 hours of engagement at a high level, being super attentive, making sure that you're dialed in, making sure that you're giving them the appropriate attention. And so like, when you think about per unit of time, that means you can only do 6 people unless you have a different kind of model, an online model, which becomes a lot more. You can potentially get 12 people in there if you're doing 30-minute blocks. And, so I think that just giving some people some of those contextual clues of like what that training looks like. I mean, I don't know about you, but the amount of 45-pound plates that I lifted to load people's bars for them while I was doing 8 to 10 sessions a day, I mean, you're probably
Minimal.
looking at, 100%.
Because last time I checked, you did 1 hour warm-ups with everybody.
Yeah, so I mean, they're like 2-hour sessions. So, but you're probably lifting a good 10,000 extra pounds per day, not even in your own workouts.
And you're on your feet, you're engaged, you're having to mentally
13
talk,
pounds,
remember the last conversation, their notes, engage, ask, be curious, inquisitive. All that stuff takes energy.
Yeah, and if you don't have a good system, even before that, you'll forget what you talked about. The session quality will just drastically erode, and you'll just kind of and hurt your reputation.
Yeah, I remember in June of 2010.
Yeah.
My first business that I had opened, my first personal training studio, we were a 2-room studio, and in the entire franchise system, Fitness Together, there hadn't been a 2-room studio, or there was never an average of 350 sessions per room in the studio ever completed. So for our studio, we needed to hit 700 in order to get there. And we were on like the 20th day of the month, and we were pacing this. We were cranking. Literally coming down to the last day, which I'm pretty sure was like a Wednesday. And the only way to get there was if I opened my schedule from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So the week before, I'm like, I'm going for it because I want that. Literally, I got up and I went 20 straight sessions. 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 45-minute sessions, back to back.
What a weird time.
With no efficiency. You get more people in.
5 minutes?
With no lunch break, no breaks, no nothing.
Yeah.
I vividly remember at like 7:30, like I want to tap out. Like I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I don't remember the experience of the session, but I have to imagine I was
Probably not great.
like just not very talkative, like all the things there's no way. It was 15 hours of training.
Yeah.
But we hit it. We did 702 sessions that month. I'll never forget. I got a call from the CEO at the time, and I was like, yeah, I hit the goal.
He's like, do it again next month.
So I was so tired. But it's not repeatable, and that's an extreme example. But what I did in one day is what some trainers do in a week, and sure, there's seasons and everything, but again, I was stuck trading time for money, which is why the 45-minute session became a thing, because I have 15 hours to train people.
Yeah.
So I can either train 15 sessions or I can increase it by 33% and trade 20. And it became 20. And that was a way to increase our capacity as a business.
Well, I think that's actually a really good idea too, and I will say that one of your gifts is to have unique solutions to problems and go out and like research and like look at what other people are doing and like take that and make something new. And I think for people that are like, well, I never would have thought of that, because I personally never would have thought of a 45-minute session. It's just not really my shtick. But I think that being able to take a conventional time frame of 30 or 60, which is it going to be? And like, neither. 45. And now we take in, you basically add another third of your time back. And I think that those are the unique problem solving skills that people shouldn't be afraid to lean into, of like, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. The answer isn't forward or backwards, it could be sideways.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you're thinking about trading time for money, if you don't have that problem solving skill, I would suggest that you stay in an established setting, because you're probably going to drown if you get faced with like, I got to pay my rent, I need more clients, I don't know how to bridge that gap. It's going to be a challenge, especially when you're learning a lot of different skills: marketing, sales, coaching, fulfillment, program design, assessment,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
So something being applicable to the trainers, right? We're always selling this, hey, you're going to buy a session takes up a certain amount of time, and for that certain amount of time, it's going to cost this much money.
Yeah.
You're trading time for money. My first suggestion out of the gates is to sell something recurring, or pre-sell a bunch of recurring instances. So what I mean by that is monthly or weekly. And I'm not saying only do that, because I do think in recurring, especially in high ticket items like this, you are going to have a higher rate of turnover, and you're going to have this higher rate of churn or attrition, people leaving your services more quickly than you want. So ideally, you do want to get it paid in full. But what I would suggest you do is like, okay, I sell it monthly. Well, I'm gonna get you to prepay for 4 months worth of the services in the same exact structure. You can even set up billing system where it automatically jumps into then monthly payments or something right after that. But I wouldn't just start right out of the gates at a relationship person you have no information on, you don't know, monthly or weekly. But that all set aside, like the actual mechanism that is at hand here is, hey, do you want to come train with me 3 times a week? Most people, yeah, I'm going to come in 3 times a week. Well, travel, sick, holidays, all these things get in the way.
Yeah.
I believe at the time the average reduction in committed to versus actual show was nearly 30%. So if people were committing to 3 sessions a week,
Okay.
almost on average you were losing 1 session a week, so you're only getting in 2.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the fastest way to lose a third of your potential income.
Yeah. You get backed up, they stack, people ask for refunds, you know, and that's why businesses have things like breakage and stuff, which, I mean, maybe you want to explain that briefly to help people understand why that might be a bad idea.
Well, it's just when you go down the road of people becoming unhappy, or, you know, breakage and call it a personal training world. Let's say I buy, I'm in my mind committing to time for 3 months worth or these things. And let's say at the end of 3 months, because of all these, like if I had a trainer with the amount that I do travel once every 3 to 4 weeks, 25% of my sessions at the very least would go unused. And the worst feeling in the world for a human is the feeling of loss. So what do you then do? Well, hey, can I somehow get a refund? Can I get my money back? Whatever. While you have every right not to refund it, reputationally, that person's gonna be pissed, and it's just not gonna go well.
Yeah.
So what does most service businesses do? Gives them some type of refund or concession or something that now either A, you let it roll over into future, which
Delays your ability to get paid.
Correct. Delays your ability to get paid, delays the next time they can pay you, or delays another person coming into those spots, or you give a refund and now you got to get money back.
100%. And you allocated that time for that person on those days and you couldn't fill it. So now you're just burning hours, and that turns into an even bigger demand for trading that time for money. And so these are the things that like are the pitfalls that people will come across that, again, until you've had a full schedule, which again, champagne problem, you know, if you've done that, then you're probably ready to potentially step out on your own and go explore those options. But I would say that like learning how to manage your schedule effectively, and obviously this is kind of with me thinking about who we're speaking to right now is like personal trainers that are doing that. If you're in the online coaching space, I will say that these may not necessarily be the most relevant issues for most of you, which is why we encourage people to do something that's hybrid, where you get to see people. And
I would say online, while it's not, call it directly relevant, it is indirectly relevant. There is some level of, you know, capacity that you have that exists.
For sure.
You have to deliver. If you say, oh, I'm going to give you a 30-minute coaching session once a week to check in, well,
that's fair. Yeah.
How many hours? Like those things do take up time.
Yeah.
Usually online is more scalable, but there still are hard ceilings and limits.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think about just rolling forward.
Sure.
And so like when you're doing an online coaching thing, it's like I can support you up to 30 minutes, but I guess it's how you frame it and how it's written in the agreement. And those are the things that even if you have if you have recorded, videos of like, hey, we're going to go through this contract together. This is what this means. This is what this means. Initial here, we're going to video record this. 3 months later, people are like, I don't know what I bought. And you hear that all the time. And now it's like a whole, if you piss off a customer, I mean, it's, especially in a small business, you could trash your reputation if they go out and they're just like,
Yeah.
One bad Yelp review, I think, has an impact of like 14% on your revenue. So just some things to think about. But
well, and you bring up online coaching, and here's the bridge and kind of the intent of this episode, right?
Yeah.
In person has this tie to time, while online tends to have this tie to an outcome. Service delivery, the mechanism in which you're delivering service. So whether I'm going to work out next to you, with you, give you a program you have to work out, nutrition, whatever.
Yeah.
They all achieve an outcome. So as much as you can, you want to sell the outcome. And maybe part of it is, hey, it's online. I'm going to have a check-in with you up to once a week for 30 minutes. Oh, okay. Oh, it's in person. We're going to do a workout session up to once a week. If you miss it, hey, totally cool. We're still working towards the actual goal, the outcome. 1 hour out of 168 hours in a week is what? Nearly 0.5% of their time. That one workout hour isn't what makes or breaks their success.
Yeah.
Especially with the majority of the world's goals of being fat and obese. Like, stop eating all the things.
100%. When you start to look at like what percentage of people or what percentage of work people are allocating towards different things, because we obviously, as a health coach, that's inclusive of fitness, nutrition, relationships, ethical business, and like partnering ideally with medical professionals that can solve some of the more complex problems. It's loading. I lost my fucking train of thought. We're gonna have to cut this one out.
Dead.
I kind of actually wanted to interject.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, you're good.
Questions from the peanut gallery today, guys.
Let me finish that thought. So
came back to him.
But when
guys,
you think
this
about
is completely real. Like, what's this? Is the thing.
This is gonna end up in the B-roll or in the bloopers. But when you think about like how much time people allocate towards fitness, let's say they're working out 4 hours a week versus how many meals they would consume. In a perfect world, you'd spend 15 to 30 minutes per meal. Like, let's just say that's just for clean numbers. That's an hour and a half a day times 7. What's that, 10 hours, 10 and a half hours? So 5 hours of effort from working out, or 10 and a half if you're eating 3 meals times 30 minutes. Like, you even see that the weighting of the time starts to differ a little bit.
I eat my meals in 3 minutes.
And so 100%. So imagine now, like, you're giving someone, and we're not saying give them a meal plan. We're saying that you need to address that because it is a bigger component that is going to alter people's weight across a longer period of time. So how do you then justify that? Like, well, I'm not going to be there with you every meal. I'm not going to be there with you every workout, but the outcome is going to be the same. Now, inherently getting there by doing nutrition and fitness program design, you're inherently more valuable as a professional, and thus you can probably charge more.
Yeah.
So
create an outcome. All right, Tyrell, podcast producer. What's this question, buddy?
Can you finish, or can you close it out in the sense of just speaking to maybe trainers' insecurity in themselves? Like, that's why they price it that low. Like, a lot of them were talking about affordability. Well, I mean, if you're good at what you do, it really isn't about appealing to those who are affordable. It's like,
sure.
So
Yeah. I mean, and when I think about like being a renowned health coach, because it is a newer thing, and I think people are really struggling to find their place in the industry right now. One of the best things people can do is really figure out, and I love the system that you have in the ChatGPT, like, the prompting and the AI, and like really understanding the person you're trying to serve, because it helps people start to build the things that they need to solve that specific problem set for that specific person in significantly faster time, which is what people are paying for at the end of the day. Is I want that result, I want certainty in achieving that, and I want it as fast as possible. And so when we can get those three things to align and we can explain that to someone, our value should, just by virtue of explaining it, drastically increase. And if you know you can do that because you have these things that you're confident, you've had enough experience, and you tested enough, which is testing is experience, then it shouldn't be an issue for you to like double, triple, quadruple your prices. And if you're wondering how you should price yourself, we've done a previous episode on that, but like, maybe speak to that for a second of how people can kind of reach down, grab something, metaphorically speaking, and be like, this is my value.
Well, we just had a conversation today with personal trainers, and the least expensive rate in the room was $100 for 3 to 4 times per week. Which, if somebody's coming in 3 times a week, that's roughly 12, 13 times a month. 4 times would be 17 times a month. That means that people are spending $1,300 to $1,700 per month for in-person personal training. They're buying the solution to a problem with some accountability. That's the added benefit, I'll say, when it comes to in-person stuff. I got to show up because somebody's going to be there. So if you remove the accountability component, how much is that worth? Probably a decent amount. Let's say it's half of the value. But if we remove that half, that's still $700 to $850 per month for somebody from a coaching perspective to help them achieve an outcome. And then double that once you figure out how to automatically send a text message every morning when they're supposed to be getting out of bed to go to the gym or do the thing they're supposed to do or they committed to. There's the accountability. To an extent.
Well, and I think that, it's when you consider the nature of, and we've mentioned this in a previous episode, where how do you not just do and work on that one specific part of the goal, but the pre-work and the post-work. In the post-work, your job in any contractor role is to turn, I need some right now. If you had some
pre-workout, I'd say yes.
Yes. I'd do some rails, but ripping rails, bro. And I'm not even that kind of guy, but listen, I would consider it right now. I knew a guy that snorted Tylenol one time. That shit was crazy. Anyways, man, I'm going crazy. Okay, but when it comes down to transitioning and helping relocate the responsibility of keeping that, that's their job. And if they're used to having you hand-holding them for every single thing, you're actually doing them a disservice because they're going to become dependent upon you. And as soon as the resources dry up, as soon as the contract ends, as soon as the goal is achieved, they're going to go back to doing whatever they want unless they have a good system that they've learned how to autonomously go in there and start to take care of themselves and troubleshoot and some of these things. So you have to let people productively struggle, which means that if you forever try to keep that revenue tied to the amount of sessions you're seeing, you're going to create circular dependency. You're going to create people needing you, which then stops you from charging more in the future. You have a client at $250, you're going to try to replace them with a client that is going to pay you $350 and $450 and $550, and that's kind of how over time you get paid more doing the same amount of work or less. Ideally, that's just better and faster and more efficient.
So
my perspective.
To lump this all together, what do? You're currently trading time for money. You're selling these hours, these sessions, these whatever it is, right? The big thing that we need to think about is transition away from how much the per session, the per hour thing is, and over to my services to solve this problem cost this much. I suggest you price it out on a weekly to a monthly basis. And just for what it's worth, $150 a week is more money than $600 per month, mainly because there's an average of 4 1/3 weeks every month. So what that means is every 3 months, you'll get 1 extra week's payment when you do it weekly versus monthly. Don't overanalyze that component. Both are a good switch in the right direction. But you tie it to, here's my program. I deliver you the workout you have to do and your nutrition guidelines and your thing and the thing and the thing. And we will do this together up to this many times per week or per month. And that's simple and easy. It's not, if you miss a session or whatever, it doesn't mean you don't get results. It doesn't mean you're changing something. You're not going to slow down. It just means you got to get the work done on your own. Like, that's totally cool. And I'll make sure you have the resources to do so. So
and it's definitely a lot more empowering to turn that over to them and for them to like know, okay, I could do that. So I really do love that. But
all that to say, stop trading time for money. It's a thing that's stopping you from getting where you want to go. Most trainers leave the profession because they simply can't make enough money. And that sucks. And that's what we're here to solve. So if you got some value out of this episode, go hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend, throw it on your social medias. That would be helpful for us. The Googles, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and the TikTok, all those would be great. Throw a comment down there if you want us to go ahead and talk about something specific. But otherwise, we appreciate your time today, hanging out with us here at Beyond the Pump, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition.